The frame of the front door bit into my palm as I shoved it wider. Plaster dust drifted from the impact. "He doesn't want to see you," his father said, voice a flat wall of finality. From the den, my son's voice cracked on a single word. "Dad." Not a shout. An exhale of used-up hope. I shouldered past, my gaze fixed down the dim hall. The air smelled of lemon polish and stale cigar smoke, a mask over something sour. I found him curled in the corner of the study, his long limbs folded tight like a discarded marionette. He tried to push himself up when he saw me. His muscles trembled not with shock, but with a deep systemic fatigue. As he reached out, his shirt cuff slid back. My world dissolved to a single point of color. Green and yellow constellations of thumbprints stained his forearm. Some old and fading, some fresh, vivid emerald. My fists were balls of stone before the image even finished processing. Someone had been gripping my son, silencing him, with enough frequency to leave a layered map of violation. I don't recall the sound I made, but I remember the vacuum that followed. The sudden dead stillness of the house, as if the universe had paused to witness. That was the pivot, the moment I ceased being a guest and became a reckoning. I am his father. That is not a feeling, it is a law of physics. I showed him how to tie a tie and how to throw a punch. I taught him strength meant protecting the vulnerable, not dominating them. Someone else had been giving him a contrary education. His stepmother appeared in the doorway, her husband a shadow behind her. Her hands were clasped, serene. A woman who conflates ownership with devotion and compliance with respect. "He's been volatile," she said, her tone dripping with concerned reason. "You understand?" I did not understand. "He goes silent when he's terrified. He makes himself invisible when he's being dismantled." I knelt and gathered him in. His body was a tense rod. Then it broke, melting into shuddering sobs that seemed ripped from his core. He'd been holding them in for a year. He was having an episode, the father said, the words smooth, practiced. We were just restraining him for his own safety. I looked at the man's hands, broad and unblemished, then back at my son's arm. Safety doesn't leave a ledger of bruises on the skin. In the truck, he slept, his temple against the cold window. The engine's drone was a lullaby. I drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting on his ankle, a tether to the present. I asked no questions. I observed. I listened to the hitch in his sleep breath. Survival requires observation. Justice requires excavation. That night, I ran a cool cloth over his forearm at the kitchen sink. He winced when I grazed a particular shade of green. "It's fine," he muttered, hollow. I tasted metal in my throat. "Your pain is not an inconvenience," I said, each word measured. "Pieces. They never show you the whole picture at once. That's the mechanism of control. It shatters reality into palatable fragments." Doors were code-locked for his security. His laptop was monitored for accountability. Friends were discouraged. Outings required debriefs. Every flicker of dissent diagnosed as ingratitude. And always the stepmother's serene gaze, calibrating, correcting. "She says I lack focus," my son whispered, his voice raw. "That I need guidance. Guidance doesn't fingerprint the bone." I re-examined every memory of that woman. The proprietary way she touched his shoulder. How she answered questions meant for him at holidays. The seamless way her husband abdicated to her will. I saw the first flag, her insistence on managing his college correspondence after the marriage. It's too much pressure for him. I'd accepted that. I saw the second, his texts becoming cryptic, devoid of detail. The third, his absence from his grandfather's funeral. A first. I hadn't missed the signs. I had misjudged the scale of the sea. That error was now obsolete. The catalyst came a week later. He woke, not from a nightmare, but into one eyes wide, scrambling backward from a phantom grip on his arm. I held him until dawn bleached the night sky. Then I began. I didn't dial the police. Not then. I didn't rage. I compiled. Photos, timelines, archived emails he'd forgotten, pulled from an old cloud account, medical records for anxiety, bank statements showing controlled allowances. I found letters from the stepmother to a private family coach. The language was sterile, strategic. My son was described as oppositional, unfocused, in need of firm boundaries. I found an online forum. Other spouses, other stepchildren, the same playbook, the same vocabulary of control disguised as benevolent structure. It wasn't merely cruelty. It was a blueprint. That was the rot in the foundation. The second confrontation was a quiet one. I had them come to my home, my territory. I served coffee. They sat with the placid confidence of those who believe the narrative is theirs. He's always been dramatic, the stepmother sighed, stirring her spoon. You know how sensitive boys can be. I pushed a folder across the polished wood. Photographs on top, then printed emails, then anonymized testimonials from 2 other families, sourced from that forum, their stories a perfect chilling echo. The serenity shattered. This is a violation, the father blustered. No, I corrected, my voice level. This is a pattern. You authored it. I merely footnoted the pages. Their composure unraveled into threats, legal bluster, sputtered accusations of betrayal. I let the storm blow. When it subsided, I stood. I'm not here to debate, I stated. I'm here to dismantle this. The legal machinery, once engaged, found traction quickly. Patterns are a prosecutor's favorite tool. Systems are their battlefield. The family coach was investigated. The forum was subpoenaed. Restraining orders were granted. The father in court tried to plead ignorance, to shift the locus to his wife. The judge was unmoved. So was I. Retribution isn't theatrical. It doesn't roar. It submits evidence. It waits. It observes as the meticulously constructed facade crumbles under the glare of truth. The stepmother lost her reputation in the circles where she'd been a whispered authority. Her own phrases were quoted back to her by people who finally saw the code beneath the words. She seemed to shrink, aging a decade in a season. I saw her once more at the final hearing, not for victory, for closure. I was trying to give him discipline, she said, her voice thin. You succeeded, I replied. He learned exactly what to reject. Now my son sleeps a full night. The marks have faded to ghosts. His posture is straighter. His jokes, when they come, are his own. Sometimes he asks if it was worth the nuclear winter I brought upon them. I tell him the truth. I stopped when the threat was neutralized. Justice isn't forgiveness, it's equilibrium. They thought they could remodel my child and call it parenting. They thought love was a transaction of obedience. They overlooked one immutable fact. I'm his father, and I complete what I begin.